by faith, where on today's episode, we'll talk about Thomas Jefferson's true meaning of separation of church and state. Bill O'Reilly has your message of the day. Next.
Hey, homeowners, if you haven't checked your home's title, aka your legal proof of ownership, it could already be stolen. Scammers target your equity, steal your title by forging just one document. Then they can take out loans or sell your home, all without you knowing. So you need to find out today if you are already a victim. Use promo code BILL at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report, plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. So please go to HomeTitleLock.com now and use promo code BILL. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code BILL.
Mom deserves something special this Mother's Day, and News Talk STL wants to help make it happen.
Come give your mama a kiss.
Register now for your chance to win amazing prizes for Mom, including gift cards from Romantique Jewelers, Freddy's Market, and Mario's Donut Restaurant.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Winners will be notified by email May 8th, just in time for Mother's Day. Register now at newstalkstl.com or via the new News Talk STL mobile app.
For over 40 years, Candici's has brought authentic Italian flavor to St. Louis. Candici's Catering and Express delivers the best Italian cuisine in West County. Delivery, pickup, or full-service catering for any event, large or small. Right now, get the Palooza Spectacular. Order any 2 premium pasta selections and receive free toasted beef ravioli or a large house salad. Limit 2. Order online or call Candici's at 636-220-8989.
Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. On this Thursday, President Trump has not only rocked the boat, but he's tipped the boat over, as the Hughes Corporation once sang. The question now becomes why? Most presidents are reactive, responding to visible controversies. Mr. Trump is proactive, sometimes even creating problems in order to change establishment thinking. He did that with the tariffs, illegal immigration, and the woke culture. The pushback has been intense. The president is taking water in the polls, but the final accounting is months away. Donald Trump is likely to win on sealing the border and stopping the asylum madness. That is his signature achievement so far. The tariff thing, impossible to predict, and his legacy is tied to making the economy better. The woke business is leaning as a Trump positive. Most Americans, I believe, do not want skin color preferences in hiring and academia. Also, they don't want biological men kicking soccer balls at women. I'm firmly convinced that if the Hollywood pinheads made a movie called Lolita, who used to be Jack, very few would buy a ticket. So it will take some time to assess whether Donald Trump's culture and economic upheaval will actually benefit the nation. That's a fair statement, correct? I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. Okay, let's go to the mail. We got Dale Malik, Akron, Ohio. Hey, Bill, I respectfully disagree with the comparison of President Trump's tariff policy to Teddy Roosevelt's trust busting. Roosevelt's policy fostered competition to lower consumer prices, while Trump's tariff policy is a tax that will likely raise the cost of goods. The comparison was both men, the only 2 presidents in our history, disrupted capitalism. That was the comparison. It wasn't about success on the economic front or any of that. It was with 2 guys that went in, didn't have to, and disrupted what they believed was a corrupt part of capitalism. And that's absolutely true. Teddy busted the trust. Took him a while. It was bloody. Had to do it. I write about it in Confronting Evil. And Trump is busting the $1 trillion trade deficit. Darren Lloyd, Calgary, Canada. Mr. Riley, I understand your explanation of tariffs and how they're meant to support U.S. manufacturing, but I haven't heard much about how those jobs will actually be filled if they return. Very few people want to work in factories. That is true, Lloyd, but this is about, in America, options, possibilities. So the union jobs, which are what the manufacturing jobs would be, pay a lot more than the service jobs. And you would assume that once somebody gets married, they have to buy a house and they have kids, they don't want to make as much money as possible. So the manufacturing job and the union wages will look pretty good. And if they can't fill the jobs, then they just give green cards out because there'll be plenty of people that want to come in and do those jobs. So I don't think that's a problem. In a moment, something you might not know. Our healthcare system is a mess. You know that. You wait weeks for a doctor's appointment, get 5 minutes there, then face delays, insurance, red tape. It's slow, frustrating, and it's why all family pharmacy stands out in the madness. All family pharmacy believes in medical freedom, meaning you decide what works for your health, not some agency or insurance company. Ordering is simple. No waiting rooms, pharmacy lines. Just go online, place your order, and get medications delivered right to your door. They offer 200 medications, including ivermectin and antibiotics, plus emergency kits, customized orders, even bulk buys. More than 100,000 Americans already trust All Family Pharmacy. It's time you check them out. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use promo code BILL10 for 10% off. Take your health into your own hands. That's allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill, code BILL10.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serenity Wealth Management. You know, one of the most important questions I ask people is, what do we want to do when we retire? What do we want to do, or what do we do while we retire? What are our hobbies? What are our goals? What are our interests? Most people, some kind of travel. And so this weekend, Katie Modulin with Magic Expeditions, we're going to talk about creating memories, and it airs right here, News Talk STL, Sunday morning, May the 4th. So until then, May the 4th be with you.
Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
For over 50 years, Freddy's Market has been Webster Grove's hometown butcher and grocer. Our USDA choice steaks are hand-cut daily, and you won't find better homemade sausages or locally sourced bacon anywhere else. From our own smoked meats to fresh produce, from the deli to the bakery, we're your one-stop family market. And speaking of family, we're still family-owned, just like when we started serving Webster Groves in 1972. Visit Freddy's Market, 9052 Big Bend Boulevard.
Now, the O'Reilly update brings you something you might not know. 90 years ago today, a British ocean liner departed New York City for Liverpool, England. 6 days later, the ship was attacked by a German submarine. The incident was a catalyst behind America's entry into World War I. Here's the story of the Lusitania. The boat left New York Harbor on May 1st, 1915. On May 7th, the ship neared the coast of Ireland. Without warning, a German U-boat launched a single torpedo from a depth of 2,000 feet. Seconds later, a massive explosion ripped through the Lusitania's starboard side, sinking the vessel in 18 minutes. 1,200 civilians were killed, including 800 Brits, 200 Americans. The attack enraged the USA public, changing America's perception of the war in Europe. In April 1917, the United States finally entered the fight. For the next 15 months, Europeans slaughtered each other by the millions. Soldiers were massacred from the air, land, and sea. Chemical weapons, gas, rained down on trenches. By the fall of 1918, the Central Powers, led by Germany and Austria, were unraveling on all fronts. Facing dwindling resources, Berlin finally agreed to an armistice. The warring parties then signed the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, officially ending World War I. And here's something else you might not know. Just 9 days before the Lusitania set sail for England, The German embassy in Washington, D.C., issued a warning to all passengers making a transatlantic voyage. Wrote the ambassador, quote, "Notice all travelers intending to embark on an Atlantic voyage, a state of war exists between Germany and Great Britain. Any vessel flying the flag of Great Britain or her allies is liable to destruction. Travelers sailing in the war zone do so at their own risk," unquote. Nevertheless, killing more than 1,000 innocent people was unacceptable to the world. Germany paid a heavy price for the Lusitania. Back after this. Are you feeling the impact of recent timeshare industry changes? Now more than ever, the costs of timeshare ownership far outweigh the benefits. My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you get out. Our listeners' positive feedback demonstrates why I've supported the company for years. For more than a decade, they have helped over 20,000 owners get out of the timeshare. Their exclusive options can help you get out faster and easier, more than any other option in the country. They are the only company that will give you a written guarantee and release you from your timeshare in a specific time frame. With an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, thousands of 5-star reviews, customer service is their top priority. For free consultation and a guaranteed solution, please call 855-551-7066. That's 855-551-7066, or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. For more news and honest analysis, please go to BillO'Reilly.com. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
This is News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Authorities are enforcing immigration law in Florida.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials are in Florida with Governor Ron DeSantis. That's to praise a week-long operation that resulted in over 1,100 arrests of people they say were in the country illegally. Governor Ron DeSantis spoke to reporters.
This is the largest immigration enforcement operation that we've seen in quite some time throughout the entire country.
Officials credit local police departments and state agencies for joining President Trump's drive for mass deportations. Agencies from all of Florida's 67 counties have signed agreements that push state and local officials to enforce immigration laws. I'm Haya Panjwani.
President Trump led a National Day of Prayer observance at the White House. Correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Declaring that his administration is bringing back religion in America, the president commemorated the annual National Day of Prayer.
We once again trust our lives to our liberties and our happiness to the hands of the Creator who gave them to us and who loves us.
Joined by leaders representing Christianity and different faiths, the president used the occasion to sign an executive order creating a presidential commission on religious liberty. Greg Clugston, the White House.
President Trump says he's nominating his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, to serve as United Nations ambassador in a major shakeup of his national security team. The president said that Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve simultaneously as acting national security advisor while maintaining his role at the State Department. Trump announced the move shortly after news broke that Waltz was departing the White House. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 83 points, the Nasdaq rose 264, the S&P advanced 35. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You heard the news. Newsmax just went public on the New York Stock Exchange and listed on the big board. Millions of Americans like you are joining our news revolution. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top 12 news brands in America. Even President Trump says it's terrific. 40 million Americans go to Newsmax, and its audience grew 50% since the same time last year. Millions really are making the switch to Newsmax. If you want to be a Newsmax share owner, call your advisor or get more info at newsmaxinvest.com. Stand with Newsmax today for a strong America. This communication is for informational purposes only and shall not be intended to or shall not constitute any offer to buy or sell securities, nor shall there be any sale of securities in any jurisdiction in which such offer, solicitation, or sale would be unlawful.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Any scattered showers and storms, they will continue into the evening, but after sunset, I do expect those rain and storm chances to wane. These storms won't be strong, but bursts of heavy rain at times, a few wind gusts, and isolated small hail is possible. Tonight, our temperatures fall into the upper 70s. Another rain chance on Friday, about a 40% chance of showers, a high of 72 degrees. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
On Friday's show, we're going to send you into the weekend with something that's probably going to gross you out or scare you. It's Not Today, Satan with Gabe Pfeiffer at 7:50.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here? As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
We have more breaking news just hours after we learned that Mike Waltz was out as national security advisor in the Trump administration. He's not completely out because the president has just posted this on Truth Social. I am pleased to announce that I will be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. In the interim, Secretary of State Marco Rubio will serve as national security advisor while continuing his strong leadership at the State Department.
406 and welcome into the Thursday edition of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. It is May 1st, 2025. I guess it's almost officially spring. May, of course, is the birthday month for me, my partner, and Joey. So we look forward to May, of course. Big shakeup there in the administration. The President Trump gave a complete head fake to all of the media today. The reports were that Mike Waltz and his aide were out. And then as you hear in that report, later he was announced as the UN ambassador. And as you all remember, Jody Stefanik, I think that's her name. Tim, help me out there. Elise Stefanik,
Stefanik,
was
yes, from New York.
Was the one that was designated to be the UN ambassador, but that was drawn so she could stay in. That beautiful baritone voice you hear there's my partner, Speaker Tim Jones, who is on the road, but he is joining us today. Mr. Speaker, how are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Chris. Great to speak with you again. You and I have been ships passing in the night this week, but we've been able to make the show go on. Joey is our consummate anchor, so we're always. I'm back out in Colorado, Chris. I'm in Colorado Springs. at the beautiful Broadmoor, and I'm here for the Honest Elections Project conference that I go to every year. We're going to be discussing, Chris, a lot of issues near and dear to you, electoral integrity, citizen-only voting, et cetera, and so forth. Looking forward to it.
And when you're out there in Colorado and you see those beautiful mountains, do you get that famous John Denver tune in your head? Rocky Mountain High.
I sure do. Chris, you know what? I don't know. I don't know how I could ever live out here. All I would do is stare at the mountains all day because I'd get nothing done. It is a beautiful place. It's a wonderful state. I wish the Democrats would stop. I wish the Democrats and the Californians that are moving in here would stop ruining it. But it is a beautiful place. Blessed to be here. And as you mentioned, yeah, it's the month of us, isn't it?
Yes.
We all have our birthdays in May. It's fantastic.
And by strange coincidence and a twist of fate, you and our producer Joey have a birthday on the exact same day. I think only 2 years apart in age, right?
Oh, probably. Yeah. I mean, this station was meant to be. I mean, Jeff Allen not only assembled a great group of people, he assembled them with their birthdays all in the same month and two of us on the same day. So he knew what he was doing. He knew what he was getting into. Hey, Chris, back to that clip you just played. Oh my gosh. Is Donald Trump just the consummate troll of the media or what? I mean, he's just hilarious.
Now, Tim, I'm going to look inside this a little bit. I think that Mike Waltz and things that I'm reading in Political and other sources are saying that people within the administration were very sore at him, especially when Signalgate happened, and that it's reported that Susan Wiles wasn't even speaking to him. I think Trump doesn't want to look like he's caving under pressure from the mob and from the media to fire Waltz. So I think he's like, hey, I can kill two birds with one stone here. There's an opening at the UN. We're not going to put Elise Stefanik in there because we need her vote in the House. I'll throw him in there. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. Boom, problem solved.
Yeah, and you know what? I would take ambassadorship to the UN as a consolation prize any day.
I agree with you.
And secondly, Chris, I wonder if Donald Trump, I think you're right. I think that's a great theory. We'll never know what's ultimately in Donald Trump's head on this one or anything else. And I think that's a great theory. And on top of that, maybe he likes Mike Waltz, right? Because if Donald Trump doesn't like someone, he gets rid of them. He sends them off into the hinterlands, never to be heard from again. So maybe he likes Waltz, but I agree with you. Somebody needed, I think it's good that the Trump administration did this, right, Chris? Because during the Biden administration, nobody was ever held accountable for anything. So at least there's a level of accountability here. He's taking him off of the top perch. I mean, that is a heck of a position, national security advisor. He's giving him a consolation prize, but it's a pretty significant one at that, being UN ambassador, being ambassador to the UN for the United States.
And we've seen in the past that just because you have been banished from the court for a little while from President Trump, doesn't mean that you're banished entirely, a la Corey Lewandowski, who was banished and he's been back and forth within. So you're unless you've really done something bad, the door is not always closed on you on getting back into President Trump's good graces. The other part of this big story is, Tim, that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is going to serve as interim national security advisor. Kind of, that's two different roles in a sense. The national security advisor is more of a looking at threats from a military point of view and assessing those threats and giving to the president, while the Secretary of State is more of a diplomatic role. You're the chief diplomat of the United States. That's going to be an interesting combination there. I know it's interim, but, we don't know how long he's going to be doing both those jobs.
And I'm glad you brought up Marco Rubio, as Trump once called him, Little Marco. I mean, talk about a guy, Chris, who has been in Trump's good graces, then in his bad graces, and now back in his good graces, right? I mean, Marco Rubio has reinstalled himself with Trump's blessing, of course, as like one of Trump's right-hand men. He's like the hand of the king. He's handling all these very important duties as Secretary of State. He just got a double role there. You hope you're not given too much responsibility, that you're set up to fail. But on the other hand, it seems like Marco Rubio has really learned how to navigate Trump land. He's been doing a great job. I love listening to him in these press conferences because he and Stephen Miller have perfected the art of absolutely just destroying the media during these press avails.
Yeah, and I think what he sees with Marco Rubio is, one, he's a young guy. Two, he has come under heel and has kissed the ring basically after the 2016 election. He has been very, very supportive of Donald Trump. I think he was one of the early endorsers of him in 2024. I think the president appreciated that. And so he rewarded him with this plum of Secretary of State. And two, I've said this many times here on the show, is when you see Marco Rubio on the Sunday shows, he's one of the best out there at answering questions, deflecting when he doesn't want to answer, being aggressive with the hostile media and giving it back to them in the same dose that they're giving it to him. He's very good at that and putting them in their place. So he's ideal for that role. In the Senate, I think he was on the Foreign Relations Committee. That's been one of his planks that he has made his name on. So it's a good fit for him.
It is. He has really risen into his role. And a lot of folks may not know Marco's background. He rose from a rank and file state representative in a term limited state. Florida has the same term limits Missouri has. So you got to quickly, get up or get out in the Missouri legislature. He became Speaker of the House, and then he ran for U.S. Senate. Let me tell you, that's a hard leap to make. It's hardly ever done, going from a state rep role, even if you're Speaker, right? Especially in a state like Florida. Florida has over 25 million people. It's over 4 times as large as the state of Missouri population wise. And geographically, it's a massive state. It is very difficult to run statewide there. You have to raise tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so Marco Rubio, the son, right, of Cuban immigrants, true American success story. I agree with everything you said about how he's risen into this role. And he has become one of the best communicators for the Trump administration.
Yeah, I remember Marco Rubio when I was doing some political work in Oklahoma around 2006, 2007. That's when he became prominent. I think that's when he became Speaker. And he has steadily rose in the ranks from there to being a senator. I think he rode the Tea Party wave in 2011, 2010, somewhere around there. And you remember, Tim, just a few short years ago, after I think the 2016 election, he wasn't going to run for re-election. And people in Florida thought that seat was going to be in danger. And they talked him into changing his mind and running for re-election, and doing that, he's rewarded for being Secretary of State. But he had said at the time that, hey, I've been in the Senate. I've never really made a lot of money. I think it's time I've got a growing family. I need to go out and make some money. One other last note, Tim, is Senator Rubio, or Secretary of State Rubio, has a Missouri connection. He was a college football star, Division II. He went to school here in Missouri for a little while until he hurt his knee, blew out his knee at Tarkey Oak College.
That is fantastic.
So, yeah,
I don't think I ever knew that about him.
Yeah, he has
that's really amazing.
He has a Missouri connection. Some other stories, big stories I want to get into, Tim, but I want to, of course, tell everyone who our guests are going to be. Of course, Steve Bucci, he's the visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. We'll ask him more about this Mike Waltz switcheroo, and we'll talk about the U.S. Ukraine mineral deal that was signed today. 445, Chris's Corner. We'll talk about the border immigration. A lot of issues dealing with that today. 507, the Speaker stump speech. Tim, who could give us a little hint there?
Yeah, I have been on the road all day today, and I've been reading a million things. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because I had a couple different thoughts in my head, but I'll get back to you in the next segment on that one.
And a good friend of yours and ours and of the show at 524, we'll speak with Rick Brattin. He's a senator for the 21st District. We'll talk about his bill to reform the SNAP system. And Tim, if I'm not mistaken, is he also the sponsor of this supposedly controversial bill on child marriage? Is he the sponsor of that?
Rick Brattin?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I will have to ask him. He's got a bunch of legislation, but Chris, in addition to the one you mentioned on food stamps and soda candy stuff, he just had a bill signed by the governor last week that is ballot initiative reform. It's not the big IP reform bill, but we'll have to ask him about his Senate Bill 22, which the governor just signed into law at a big bill signing last week to try to tamp down the power of the courts to constantly rewrite ballot initiatives that are promoted and passed by the legislature.
Yes, we SB 22 definitely talk about
You
that.
got
And he's got some
Yes.
Second Amendment education bills also. So a lot of talk to Senator Rick Brattin, 31st District. That's on the western side of the state. Where exactly is that, Tim?
He is just south of Kansas City. Let's see, what is down there? That's Cass County. Cass County, I think part of his district might actually border the state of Kansas. So he's all the way over on the western side of the state to the south of Kansas City, Missouri, to give people a little bit of geographical reference. He is a Marine, served with me in the House, and he's now serving in the Senate. And he's also the chairman of the Freedom Caucus.
Excellent. And another big story before we go to Steve Bucci at 445. Tim, a report came out from HHS, something that any right-thinking people know already. They said that there is not strong evidence that gender-affirming care for minors is effective for treating gender dysphoria or improving mental health.
Yes.
That's according to a report issued yesterday by the Department of Health and Human Services based on a review of existing literature. Tim, the researchers found that the existing studies suffer from bias and methodological errors. No, I butchered that. While the literature also fails to appropriately consider potential harms, such as the loss of sexual function. And it goes on. But I'm sure this will be a study of much discussion here in the coming weeks and months. Your thoughts?
I was so excited to see that, Chris. That's on the heels of a similar report and some similar decision making, right? Coming out of our friends from across the pond. Not sure how they found sanity on this issue quicker than we did, but I'm glad we're not too far behind the curve. So you're seeing these reports and these changes in policy occurring around the globe, not just here in the U.S. And I think it's a good thing. And it's mainly a good thing for who? The children and our future generations. Chris, the idea that we would go from, a 0.000 some odd percentage of the country children that dealt with the mental condition, right? It's called gender dysphoria. It's in the DSM. You can look it up. The fact that we would go from an infinitesimal amount of kids to something like, a quadrupling of that is just shocking to all of us. And we believe it's been purported by the left and the media. And, the worst thing you can do is treat mental illness with some sort of life-changing, debilitating action, like lopping off kids' otherwise healthy body parts.
Yeah, I think I've talked about this on Chris's Corner, where I think some of the studies show that like 25% of these kids are identifying as another gender, which how can this just quadruple or increase in
even
such
more,
a dramatic,
right?
increase in such a dramatic matter in just a couple of generations? And it has to be one, some of these kids think that it's sort of like a fad, and second, you have teachers that are encouraging and grooming these kids basically to explore their sexuality, and they're considered role models, of course. And I think that's a big reason why we're seeing that, and I think that's why we've seen the last few years the changes in school boards where conservative parents are running to try to change that. All right, coming up, Steve Bucci, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. We'll talk about the big shakeup with Mike Waltz and the mineral deal. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
She could tell right away that I was bad to the bone. Bad to the bone.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Any scattered showers and storms, they will continue into the evening, but after sunset, I do expect those rain and storm chances to wane. These storms won't be strong, but bursts of heavy rain at times, a few wind gusts, and isolated small hail is possible. Tonight, our temperatures fall into the upper 70s. Another rain chance on Friday, about a 40% chance of showers, a high of 72 degrees. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli, and my favorite sandwich from Capriati's is the Wagyu beef French dip. So good. It's the au jus that makes it. And the Wagyu beef is pretty good, too. I love Capriati's, and you will, too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Looking for a rewarding career in caregiving? Truly Treasured Home Care is hiring experienced quality care providers now. Join our compassionate team, making a difference every day. Call 636-685-0508. That's 636-685-0508.
This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Dropping truth bombs and making you think. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Last night, we saw yet again why President Trump is our deal maker in chief. We secured a historic agreement to establish the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. This partnership establishes a fund that will receive 50% of royalties, license fees, and other similar payments from natural resource projects in Ukraine. President Trump has been clear from the beginning. He wants the killing in this brutal war to end.
425 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show, and there you hear the press secretary discussing the deal between the U.S. and Ukraine on minerals, rare earth minerals. Is this a good deal for the U.S. and Ukraine? Let's bring our next guest on and find out.
Steve Bucci, visiting fellow for Special Ops at the Heritage Foundation.
Oh, yes. What were you about to ask me?
Do you expect me to talk?
Steve Bucci, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well, guys. It's great to be back on the show.
Great to have you on. Steve, does this rare earth minerals deal give Ukrainians the security guarantees they're looking for?
Well, it's not entirely. They would, much prefer us to deploy a couple of armored divisions over there and help them fight, but that's clearly not going to happen. So I think this is a pretty good deal. It's a good deal for the United States because we need access to rare earth minerals because of the Chinese monopoly, essentially, on those very valuable minerals that we need for all of our electronics and most of our high-end national security items, if you will. And by our presence there, by making that such an important contributor to our national defense, we're sending a message to Vladimir that you need to keep your hands off this. We're in here now. This is not something that's up for grabs, so back off. And I think that's ultimately will be very good for Ukraine, and hopefully will bring this silly war to a stop, at least for a while.
Mm-hmm. Steve, Chris and I kicked off the show with the big news of the day of Mike Waltz, the former congressman and the national security advisor temporarily, and then Donald Trump threw a head fake, said he was gone, and then he wasn't, and now he's the ambassador. He's the United States ambassador to the UN. So, Steve, what do you make of all of this?
Well, I think Mike, other than the fumble with the signal thing and inviting the silly reporter onto it, something you should have noticed, particularly if you're at that level, that was a stumble, a huge mistake, not a criminal one, not something that required him to be dragged out in leg irons or anything. But I think the president needed a little shakeup here, and it gave him a chance to put someone very, very qualified into that kind of important role of the ambassador to the UN. I think Elaine Stefaniak would have been a great one, but I understand why the president changed his mind on that, because he's worried about the majority in the House. In this case, Waltz had already left Congress. They replaced him, fortunately, with another Republican. And this gives him a chance, by shifting that person over, depending on who he picks to be the new national security advisor, seems to have solved two problems. One, it gets a good person in the UN, and it gives him a chance to make sure that all of those national security positions are wired together tightly. And, after a couple of months, the president, may have thought, I need someone to tune this a little more. So that, remember, all those folks serve at the pleasure of the president. So his opinion counts.
Speaking with Steve Bucci, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Steve, Russian President Vladimir Putin on Monday thanked North Korea for fighting alongside him against Ukraine. And then a couple of days later, said he wanted to declare a unilateral 72-hour ceasefire next week to mark Victory Day in World War II. Is Vladimir playing chess here? What's up?
Yeah, kind of. He's trying to throw some crumbs out so that President Trump will ease up on the pressure on him. I don't think it's going to work. He did that before, said, oh, yeah, we'll sign up for a ceasefire. And then he just kept shooting rockets at people into, homes and church services. And I think that kind of ticked the president off. So offering this, I'm not sure this has the same, amount of trust that the president may have had in the last offer. And I think the fact that he was able to get the mineral deal through is sending a message. We can't just trust your word, Mr. Putin. So we're going to put some of our own skin in the game so that you understand we're being serious and that we really, really do want you to stop the killing.
Steve, although the national legacy media often fails to focus on more than one bright, shiny object at a time, we always try to go around the world with you in about 14 minutes every week. And so I thought I brought up a subject that we haven't discussed much and haven't heard much about in the daily news, but I'm sure there's still plenty going on, and that is the ongoing conflict in the Middle East between Israel and whatever's left of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and then the reconstruction of that Gaza Strip area. Steve, could you just bring us up to speed on what's the current status of matters over in Israel with the Gaza Strip, Hamas, and probably more importantly, with whatever Iran and its proxies are up to?
Yeah, with regard to Gaza, the Israelis have moved IDF forces in to create a buffer zone. And that's obviously going to tick off all the progressives in Europe and in our own country, and for sure Hamas, because they don't want Israel anywhere in Gaza, because they want to be able to go right up to the border to be able to cause problems for Israel, sending rockets and other attacks through. Israel is saying, we're not going to do that again. We're going to set up a buffer zone. And by the way, it's going to come out of your part of the land, not ours. So the Hamas folks are not happy with that. They're still trying to dangle the release of more hostages to try and get Israel to make more concessions. I think Israel is reaching the end of its patience with them. Some of these other folks, Qatar and some of these people, are not being helpful because they're in fact advising Hamas. No, hang in there, be tough. You'll get a better deal out of this, which I don't think they're going to get. They're going to start losing more and more ground if they don't stop. In the wider thing with regard to Iran, we saw that the Houthis are getting hammered by the United States in some cases, and I got asked this morning, does that mean that we're putting enough pressure on Iran? And my answer was absolutely not. We need to make Iran pay some of the price for this in blood and treasure, because frankly, Iran will keep fighting until all of its proxies are dead. Those people are completely expendable to Iran. They don't have any love for them. They don't really consider them their brothers. They are just patsies, not just proxies for Iran, so that Iran can say, well, it's not us, it's those guys. We can't help that, which is baloney. We need to start hammering Iran, at least target the Iranian personnel that work with these proxies specifically. Now, that takes some better intel, more precise intel, but I think we have it in Yemen, in Lebanon, in Gaza, anywhere there is an Iranian advisor, so-called diplomat, whatever you want to call them, we should be taking those people out so that Iran understands we know who's really behind this. And at some point, we probably need to take out some targets in Iran because right now that'd be easy picking. Their air defenses are pretty much devastated by the Israelis, and we need to make them pay because they're the ones causing the problem.
Steve, the administration's prisoner release efforts have been very successful lately. Kuwait released 10 Americans detained in the country recently, and Belarus released a jailed American who was wrongly detained. What do you attribute this to?
It's because people realize that Trump is serious, and he's putting serious diplomatic pressure on these people to release our personnel. He's not just going over there doing photo ops. He's doing it quietly in most cases and getting the people out. And again, you say what you want. People may not like President Trump, but other countries, particularly adversaries or at least troublesome people out there, understand he's serious when he says he's going to do something, and they respond to it because they don't want to be the next one that gets smacked.
Indeed. Speaking to Steve Bucci of the Heritage Foundation. Steve, one of the biggest headlines not reported this week, except on stations like ours and similar center-right thinking outfits, has been the incredible decline as to the illegal alien invasion that we saw for the last 4 years. I mean, Steve, I don't think even though the media is not reporting this, Steve, I don't think the American people are missing this story because it was like we were literally under a torrential invasion where you had, if you looked just a little bit, you could see footage anywhere along our southern border of beleaguered cities, stories about human and sex trafficking, the fentanyl problems as well, the cartels trying and succeeding in having operational control. And then, Steve, it was like someone flipped a light switch. But all someone needed to do is actually just enforce the laws that we have on the books and use the power and strength of the United States and all the assets we have, right? And that's what the Trump administration has done.
That's exactly right. All of the lies that we're told, we need new legislation. We don't have any ability to do that. We don't have the assets. They've always had the assets. They've always had the legal authority to do these things. They just chose not to do it because of policy desires, which was to flood this country with illegals, give them benefits that in some cases were not even given to citizens, and then eventually get these people enough documentation so that they can vote. And Trump has pulled the plug, and rightfully so. And these people are staying home. They realize it's not going to work we're just going to get turned back. Let's just stay home, which is the message we should have been sending for a long, long time. It doesn't mean people are not coming in legally. There are still people coming in legally. They don't ever report on that, but what they've shut off is the flood of illegal aliens coming in here. And that's something the majority of the American people, even a lot of folks who didn't vote for President Trump, realize is a good thing and it needs to continue. Now we got to fight with the judges who now say, oh, you got to send every illegal a warning before you pick them up. No, you don't. They're already in violation of the law. You don't have to, oh, that guy's robbing a bank. Okay, send him a note so that afterwards when he goes home, he knows we're probably going to come by and get him. Please, Judge, where in any fantasy world does that work that way? If you're committing a crime, you get arrested. You may have some degree of due process after that. That's fine. But once you commit the crime, there's no delay or warning you have to give before you pick somebody up. That's crazy.
Yeah, amen.
Steve, I think it can be legitimately said that President Trump in his first term helped remake the Middle East. We had the Abraham Accords. We have Arab nations signing peace deals with Israel. We're seeing a remaking currently in Syria. Of course, Bashar al-Assad was overthrown. The new leader, Ahmad al-Sarraj, used to be a al-Qaeda leader. But now the State Department is talking about easing sanctions on Syria, and Saudi Arabia and Qatar have said they would pay off Syria's outstanding debts with the World Bank. Talk about this transformation here.
Well, on this one, I'm glad, but Assad is gone. He just was a terrible person. He was terrible for the Syrians. He was a lapdog for the Iranians. And now this guy, obviously, he's a Sunni, so he didn't want anything to do with the Iranians, who are Shia. And so he's going a different path. Now, don't get me wrong. He's not a good guy, but he is at least trying to get his country to operate independently of Iran. And that's something we should cultivate. Now, hopefully we can get him to, stop persecuting some of his other minorities internally. That would be a really good thing. But he's better than what was there, and we should do what we can within reason, understanding that there's still a lot of room for improvement. I mean, he's not George Washington or anything like that, but it is a positive step, and we need to encourage positive steps and independence from troublemakers like the mullahs in Tehran.
Steve, this kind of random story, although connected to our earlier discussion about Putin and Ukraine, but here's kind of a one-off a little bit that caught my attention. There was a South Korean report today, Steve, that discussed the fact that they believe, and I'm sure they keep close tabs on their northern neighbors, that 600 North Korean troops were killed while fighting Ukraine. Steve, could you explain the connection there? Is North Korea just bending over backwards to do whatever Mother Russia asks it to do so they can continue to obtain whatever bread and bombs that Putin is willing to send their way?
That's absolutely right. Kim Jong-un thrives on attention. He doesn't care a whit about his people. And even though these are supposedly the best troops he has that he's sending to Ukraine, they're just bullet magnets over there, and they're getting their tukuses handed to them in the same way most of the Russian troops are getting it handed to them. And Putin doesn't care. It's just more cannon fodder to add into the mix. But for the North Koreans, they think they're going to get some benefit from Russia by supporting them. And North Korea also likes to do anything that they think we might not like. So they're willing to do this. But I tell you, I feel badly for these soldiers who are essentially prisoners in their own country. Now they get shipped off to do something for their dear leader and find out it's fighting, white Europeans in Europe for other white Europeans. And I don't know if they really think that's a grand idea or not. But it's a shame they're being killed for an evil cause sent by one evil dictator to support another evil dictator. It's not a good situation.
And finally, Steve, a story here that's near and dear to me and Tim's hearts as talk show hosts. New York Post is reporting that President Trump has appointed nationally syndicated talk radio and Fox News personality Mark Levin to the Homeland Security Advisory Council. What exactly is that? Do you think Tim and I may have a chance to get on that?
Well, it's you guys could. You got a good grasp of most of these issues too. All those advisory councils or committees that we have across the federal government are outside experts that they bring in, and they bring in. It's not all academics. In some cases, it's business people. There's people like you guys that are commentators on these issues. You deal with them regularly. They bring them in. They meet at least a couple of times a quarter, and they do reports, or they make recommendations directly to the executive branch. In this case, it would be to both Secretary Noem and to the Homeland Security Committee that works with the National Security Committee. And it's a freebie thing. You bring them in there, they get a lot of information, and they make recommendations. As you know, Mr. Mark Levin is not shy about giving his opinion. That's what they want. They want outside people with some knowledge, not just anybody off the street, but people that have a deep, abiding understanding. He's a legal expert on top of being a talk show host. And I think it's a legitimate appointment, a good one, a lot better than some of the holdovers that were still on some of these committees, like Susan Rice was on the defense one. This is a good move, and hopefully we'll see a few more of those. So you guys might have a chance.
All right, Steve.
All right.
Tim, we got a chance. That is, of course, Steve Bucci, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation. He can be reached, of course, at heritage.org and on X, Bucci. Steve, thank you for the time, as always.
It's my pleasure, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir. All right. Coming up on Chris's Corner, we'll talk about the border immigration. Of course, that is President Trump's best issues. I've got some news on that. And within Chris's Corner, we're going to talk about another group the administration has designated as a foreign terrorist organization so they can quickly be dispelled back home. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL, number one for live and local conservative talk.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Well, as your attorney, I advise you to buy a motorcycle.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Any scattered showers and storms, they will continue into the evening, but after sunset, I do expect those rain and storm chances to wane. These storms won't be strong, but bursts of heavy rain at times, a few wind gusts, and isolated small hail is possible. Tonight, our temperatures fall into the upper 70s. Another rain chance on Friday, but a 40% chance of showers, a high of 72 degrees. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Like Ferguson in the morning, I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion. St. Louis is number one for conservative talk. News Talk STL.
I've been banking with Royal Banks of Missouri for quite a while now, probably about 20 years. And my father's business banking account was with them when they were known by another name. Royal Banks, they've been around locally since 1964. And, you feel that difference the moment you walk in. Real people, real service, some of the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for strength and stability to go with that. They've made my life easier with their 17 locations, plus free access to over 200 ATMs across the Midwest. When I'm busy, I love using their interactive teller machines, their ITMs, where I can talk to a live banker even after regular hours, weekdays till 7, Saturdays too. Whether it's a mortgage, auto loan, or just everyday banking, Royal Banks of Missouri makes it simple, and they treat you like family. Check them out at royalbanksofmo.com. Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank for your community.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Looking to brighten your home and garden? Anthony's Produce has everything blooming. We're bursting with annuals, perennials, tropicals, and gorgeous hanging baskets. And don't forget our fresh fruit and vegetable trays, beautiful fruit bouquets, and chocolate-covered strawberries, made fresh daily. Mother's Day's coming. Place your orders now to show Mom how special she is. We've extended our hours. Now open Monday through Saturday till 6:30 and Sundays till 5. Anthony's Produce on Juggerman and St. Peters and online at anthonysproduce.com.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
I'm Danny Cohn, President and CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. This past week, the Jewish holiday of Yom HaShoah commemorated the 80th anniversary of the Holocaust and remembered the 6 million Jews who were murdered by the Nazis in World War II. As Jews, when we recall the atrocities of the Holocaust, we say, never again. This is not a slogan or a tagline. It's a responsibility we all share to prevent the systematic hatred from going unchecked. When we work together to fight against prejudice and bigotry towards everyone, we create a better community for everyone.
Mom deserves something special this Mother's Day, and News Talk STL wants to help make it happen.
Come give your mama a kiss.
Register now for your chance to win amazing prizes for Mom, including gift cards from Romantique Jewelers, Freddy's Market, and Mario's Donut Restaurant.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Winners will be notified by email May 8th, just in time for Mother's Day. Register now at newstalkstl.com or via the new News Talk STL mobile app. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
I'm a cowboy on a steel side. I'm wanted.
Follow Chris Arps on Twitter at Chris_Arps.
Six string on my back. I played for keeps, 'cause I might not make it back.
I got a studio audience question from Lee Shapiro. Lee's a tough guy. Lee says, what's the biggest mistake you think you've made in the first 100 days?
I'll tell you, that's the toughest question I can have because I don't really believe I've made
You
mistakes.
made any mistakes?
We're in a transition period. We're in a transition period.
I think Lee is reassured.
I think you're going to see tremendous economic victories over the next period of a year, like far greater than ever imagined.
451 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And one area where the president has not made many mistakes, if any, is with illegal immigration and with the border, Tim. I think the Homeland Security Department put out a report earlier in the week that said like 91 people got away this year so far from the border security. 91 people. That's not a typo. There's no zeros missing. 91 people.
Not a single new law, Chris, added to the books. All it took was a few new people running the country. Amazing.
Exactly. Our good friend there, Speaker Tim Jones, is in Colorado, and I bet you I know how he is listening to the show. He's losing his phone as a radio. You can stay connected to News Talk STL anytime, anywhere with our brand new app. You can download it today from the Apple Store or Google Play. And you can get instant 24 access to all your favorite shows on News Talk STL. You know, with the new News Talk STL app, you can chat directly with the station, leave voice messages, Check out the show calendar and find links to all our podcasts. It's easier than ever to stay informed and engage right from your phone. Try the new app today and let us know what you think. All right. The president, as I said, has not made any mistakes when it came to the border. And I'm going to highlight those next on Chris's Corner.
Chris's Corner is brought to you by Elite Comfort Experts. Call 636-887-0971 or EliteComfortExperts.com.
Chris.
And if you don't know, now you know.
And now, Chris's Corner.
We have, first off, another case of a Democrat that is still kind of tone deaf here when it comes to supporting illegal immigrants and their deportation. Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia, remember him? He was Hillary Clinton's running mate back in 2016. He said he is introducing a privilege resolution that would demand the Trump administration provide answers about returning, quote, wrongly deported immigrants. Boy, you would think after the fiasco of these Democrats flying down to Venezuela and seeming to support illegal immigrant has backfired with them in the public, that they would pull back. There are reports that Hakeem Jeffries told his members that he did not think it was a good idea for them to go down to Venezuela. After that report surfaced, he quickly rebutted it and said his members can do whatever they want to. They have to do what their conscience tells them to do. The president, I forgot the numbers. It was an incredible amount of numbers that the administration has deported so far this year. Venezuelan migrants at a Texas ICE facility who were afraid of being sent back. You can see this picture on the on the internet. Reuters drone snapped a picture of it. The prisoners, these Venezuelan MS-13 members, made an SOS in the form of human beings trying to get attention. Their Reuters drone snapped a picture of that. Mohsen Mawadawi, the Columbia University student and green card holder who was arrested in April as part of a pro-Palestinian crackdown, was freed from federal custody. We'll have to see how that shakes out. The president has been pretty successful at that. If these people have green cards, they can be deported if they are a national security threat. Speaking of national security threats, we know that during the Biden administration that he allowed thousands of Haitian immigrants to enter the country through an emergency asylum. Well, the president, in order to quickly send these folks back to Haiti, he is designating these Haitian gangs. Not all Haitians, of course, are part of the gangs, but they are going to be labeled as foreign terrorist organizations along with the Mexican cartel. So that is quickly one way to get illegals out of the country. I can only imagine the uproar. We'll probably see sit-ins, Tim, on the stairs of the House, and people will be singing "We Shall Overcome" because these Haitian refugees will be sent back to Haiti. And I've got a correction here. I said 91 illegal immigrants have made it into the country as gotaways in the first 100 days. I was wrong, Tim. I was wrong. It wasn't a typo. I read wrong. It was not 91 illegal immigrants. It was 9 illegal immigrants have got into the country in the first 100 days. 9 illegal immigrants. Remember all those years during Biden and Clinton and Obama kept telling us that there's nothing we could do. Mayorkas was telling us, or not Mayorkas, I think, Mayorkas.
Probably Mayorkas
was telling us that the border was closed. I get him confused, and the Supreme Court justice. Their names are kind of similar to me. All right. We know that there are places that will not take back their nationals. We're deporting them as fast as we can round them up, of course. Secretary Rubio said he is looking for more third-party nations to take some of these deportees. Some of the areas that are being looked at, Tim, are Libya and Rwanda. So I think that if you are an illegal alien that is camped out there in Venezuela or camped out in Central America and you're heading your way up south, I think you should rethink that choice, because if you were caught, You could be on a one-way trip to Rwanda or Libya. I don't see many vacation brochures for Rwanda and Libya. And that is Chris's Corner.
That's
you taking
amazing,
a trip
Chris.
to
9.
you taking a trip to Rwanda? You a vacation with the family?
I sure as heck hope not. But Chris, those 9 guys that got in you
9.
reference, what are they, like Ethan Hawke? They're like 9 Mission Impossible guys. I mean, how did those 9 guys get in? You know,
absolutely
sign
amazing.
those up for the special forces.
We have the mystery speaker stump speech coming up, and Senator Rick Brattin at 5:24. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere. And we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery at all 3 Steph's Pizza locations. In Lake St. Louis at 111 Potterford Trail, St. Peter's on Juggerman, and in St. Charles on Zumbell. Check us out at Steph'sPizza.com. Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game. It's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Game tickets? Check.
A round of cold beers? Check.
Ballpark hot dogs? Check.
Baseball is back, and nothing beats a night out with the guys.
Or ladies.
At a Cardinals game.
From thrilling games and mouthwatering eats to the iconic ballpark energy, Busch Stadium is the ultimate spot for you and your crew to dive into America's favorite pastime.
Make your next night out the best one yet. Join us at Busch Stadium, where every hour is happy.
For tickets, visit Cardinals.com.
St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump held the National Day of Prayer event in the Rose Garden of the White House today. President Trump reads a passage from a letter President John Adams wrote to his wife on the first National Day of Prayer.
In a letter to wife Abigail, John Adams wrote of his first National Day of Prayer, millions will be upon their knees at once before their great Creator, imploring his forgiveness and blessing and asking for his favor on the American cause. Beautiful.
The White House ceremony comes just months after the Trump administration established a task force and presidential commission seeking to protect Christians from religious discrimination. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is being replaced, but he's getting a promotion.
White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz is leaving the Trump administration just weeks after it was revealed that he added journalist Jeffrey Goldberg to a signal chat being used to discuss military plans in Yemen. Waltz's departure marks the first major staff shakeup of President Donald Trump's second term. Just yesterday at a cabinet meeting at the White House, Waltz praised the president.
It's an honor to serve you in this administration.
Waltz served in the U.S. House of Representatives, representing Florida for 3 terms before joining the Trump administration at the White House. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Waltz is being nominated as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. He replaces Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who withdrew her nomination after she was asked to remain in the House of Representatives to keep the Republican majority there. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 83 points, the Nasdaq rose 264, the S&P advanced 35. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Any scattered showers and storms, they will continue into the evening, but after sunset, I do expect those rain and storm chances to wane. These storms won't be strong, but bursts of heavy rain at times, a few wind gusts, and isolated small hail is possible. Tonight, our temperatures fall into the upper 70s. Another rain chance on Friday, about a 40% chance of showers, a high of 72 degrees. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet, plus brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention Newstalk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention Newstalk STL for 10% off.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The more you remove voting from Election Day, the more opportunity you're offering for people to commit fraud.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
I think the Democrats are so short-sighted in this tactic they have now to just cheat at any cost to win elections.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you.
What are we doing wrong here?
As a former leader in the House, I think you can put your finger on it. It's called leadership. We don't have it.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
And I will tell you, the courage of all these Americans inspires me, including congressional leaders like Cory Booker, Chris Van Hollen, Chris Murphy, Jasmine Crockett, Maxwell Cross, AOC, and Bernie Sanders, all who, in different ways, have been speaking with moral clarity about this moment.
5:06 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Joey, thank you for playing for that clip for me and us, just to remind us all that thank God that woman is not president of the United States. Welcome back to the show. Speaker Tim Jones out in Colorado. Do they say Colorado out there? Or is that only in the South? You hear people say Colorado?
I think some of the Cowboys might out here, Chris. But boy, Chris, how is it? How in the world did she lose a national election? I just can't figure it out.
Shocker.
I mean, I was laughing on this end all the way through that clip. She always sounds like she's like daydreaming about something.
Mm-hmm.
And then she lists off a bunch of names. Everybody claps and like, I'm not exactly sure what she just said or if it was relevant to anything at all in reality.
It's amazing what gummies can do. You know, we talked about early in the show, it is May. It's all of 3 of our birth months, but it's also Mother's Day as well. And News Talk STL wants to help you out this Mother's Day by giving away a bunch of amazing prizes. You can register and News Talk STL, and on May 8th, we will email the winners. Check out what's in the prize closet, Tim. You can get a gift card from Romantique Jewelers, Freddy's Market, Mario's Donut Restaurant, Di Gregorio's Italian Market, Jules on Hampton, Anthony's Produce, and Harry J Steakhouse. You can register as many times as you like. The contest again closes at 11:59 p.m. on May 7th. Don't be late, and you'll be emailed on May 8th if you are a winner. So you're kind of slacking there on what to get, Mom. You may get lucky and get her a great prize from the prize closet.
Indeed, Chris. Mother's Day
is
boy about
coming
9
up.
days away. It's
coming
amazing.
up.
Yeah,
makes me. Mother's Day, of course, when you lose your mother, is not the same as it was before. So Becky lost her mother a few years ago as well. So we try to find some other activities to do on that day. But for those of you that still have your mother, cherish them. They will not be with you forever, as you know. And I was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, of all the losses that you have in your life, there is no loss like the loss of your mother. You lose your father, you lose your dog, you lose, sister, brother, maybe child, but there's just something about losing your mother that's,
No, indeed.
Yep.
No, I agree. I'm very blessed. Mom is still with us. My mom's fantastic. She's
and very spry,
wonderful
too.
woman.
She's going to be around for a long time. She's got a lot of energy.
Yeah, she is. She's got that Italian blood boiling in her veins, Chris. She may outlive all of us. But Chris, I remember, it's different. But when I lost my grandmothers, they were my grandmas were very much an important part of my life. They were a mothering influence on my life, and especially my grandma Tuno. She lived right here in St. Louis. Saw her all the time, and when she left us, it was a big blow. I got to see grandma a lot in her final years. I tried to spend a lot of time with her, and I'm so glad I did. She told me a lot of stories about, growing up in the country and, in a different time. My grandma lived to be, let's see, my grandma Tuno, I think was 88, 89 years old, and just a different time. And I'm so glad I got to spend the time with her. So don't take for granted any of the moms, the grandmas, the aunts. I have several wonderful aunts that I love dearly, that I've gotten to spend a lot of time with over the decades. And yeah, Chris, don't take those moments for granted, because unfortunately, none of us are going to be here forever.
Exactly. And it is 5:10, and as you are driving home, the big stories that we discussed in the first part of the show, of course, was the big switcheroo with Mike Waltz. He is out as National Security Advisor. He has been appointed to be UN Ambassador. The U.S. and Ukraine have finally reached a rare earth mineral deal. And we talked about the report from the HS that said affirming gender care is basically bunk.
And we couldn't be happier for it. I mean, isn't it amazing what I know all of this is not directly correlated to the U.S. election last November, but Chris, we're living in different times than we were just a few months ago, where so much of this stuff that was pounded into our heads over the last, many years is just turning out to be so untrue. Chris, my dad's listening to the show. He reminded me, my grandma Jones lived to be 89, and grandma Tuno was, he said, 95 or 96. So I guess we've got some decent genes in the family.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
88 and 96. So you should be good for about 92, 93. That's somewhere.
I'll be
the,
somewhere in that
average,
sweet spot
the
there, as long
there.
as I, don't live life to the fullest, so.
Or go ahead,
Anyway,
Tim.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to
No,
say another big issue that came out earlier today regarding abortion. The Ethics and Public Policy Center, they released a paper earlier this week that said that the largest known study of the abortion pill after effects for women, the research shows that chemical abortion is considerably more dangerous to pregnant women than the Food and Drug Administration presently admits. We've had Dr. Randy Tobler talking about this. He's an OBGYN. And if I remember correctly, his biggest concern about mifepristone, I think that's what it is that a woman could be at home taking this, could have excessive bleeding, doesn't go to the hospital or get help in time, and could basically bleed out there at home. And Dr. Tobler is saying this is a drug that should be closely monitored and administered by a physician.
Another thing, Chris, I'm so glad you brought this up. If I saw one, I saw probably 5 or 6 reports about these reports this week about the mifepristone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad there's been so many things. It's hard to keep up in Trump 2.0. This is a big story. This is a huge story. And for all the lefties and progressives out there, like, oh, just pop a pill and all your worries will go away.
And Tim,
we warned you all about.
And Tim, keep that thought just there. I hate to interrupt. And remember, these chemical abortions, this is the number one route for abortions now. It's not surgical. Chemical abortions is number one now.
Yeah, because, Chris, the left is selling women a bill of goods, that this is safe and secure and there's no side effects and there's no reactions. What do people think happens? I don't want to get too graphic here, or it's in the middle of the afternoon and people are probably got the kids in the car. But what do you think happens to the baby? Okay. Chris just talked about bleeding out, and that's a possibility. What do you think happens to the child? It doesn't just vanish. It doesn't just evaporate, right? Mm-hmm. This is a dangerous situation we're in, where people think that they can just pop a pill and the concern is gone away. Look, deciding to have a child, getting pregnant, is a huge, huge decision to make in life. I'm not a woman. I know that. I don't identify as one, but I do have a wife. I am a dad of 2 daughters. And we had to go through a lot with our daughters. We had to, there were some extra steps we had to go through. God blessed us with 2 wonderful, healthy, amazing girls that I can't believe are both almost adults now. But there's resources out there. We have them on this station all the time. We just had Eli on not too long ago.
Levi.
I knew it was a biblical name. Levi, talking about Reach, the new Reach organization. There's all kinds of pregnancy resource centers, and gone are the days where people could accuse Republicans, conservatives, and those on the right of only caring about the baby being born. And then we say, okay, good luck, go hither. There are tons of resources out there to help women, dads, families get through not just the pregnancy, but for months and years afterwards if you need that help. Those resources are out there. Do not think you're alone. Do not think that you should just pop a pill and hope that all your problems will go away, because you can read the horror stories about this, and we can go into greater graphic detail, but we won't do it this afternoon.
Yeah, and the report says that the rate of serious adverse events after chemical abortions is at least 20 times as higher than what the FDA says. There was kind of a mini controversy regarding this last week, Tim, when the Food and Drug Administration Commissioner Martin Macri said he had no plans to restrict the availability of the abortion pill mifepristone. I know that the president, this is an issue that he doesn't want to necessarily get involved with. He believes it's a loser for Republicans. Do you see an outroar stemming from this, Tim? It's been a week at least, and there really hasn't been one.
Well, Chris, Republicans and conservatives, pro-lifers in general, they need to learn to talk about this issue. And we can safely, securely, and correctly discuss these issues under the auspices of not only the baby being born, but of the life and the health of the mother, right? Because we have these studies. We have this information. We can use the science to prove that the left is wrong. We have Dr. Tobler on, Dr. Bob Onder on all the time discussing these issues. We have women advocates, men advocates for life. And I think folks just need to realize that, abortion is not the easy way out. It's not the safe way out. We don't even have to get into, look, you and I believe it's a moral issue. I know we do. And as Christians, that's an awesome argument to make. But for people who don't want to be, who don't want to accept the religious or moral implications, then just simply look at these studies and base your decisions off of the science and the health implications.
Exactly. All right. You ready to do a little speaker stump speech?
I got one, Chris.
All
and
right.
I was saying, I read so many stories today. I kind of forgot which one I was focused in on. Something we haven't talked about in a long time, and that's a good thing, but you'll be happy to know today's speaker's stump speech is an amazing story about someone you wouldn't expect that believes the Green New Deal is actually a flop and a fail. And that's the subject of today's speaker stump speech.
Listen to me, listen to me.
I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
It's time for the Speaker's Stump Speech, sponsored by Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com.
Well, speaking of blowing holes in hoaxes, that seems to be the subject of at least the second hour of the show today. And we've discussed several of them already. What about the Green New Deal? What about the fact that we need to run everything on the planet off of electricity? Again, the left never wanting to discuss how electricity is made. Electricity doesn't just, if only we were all Benjamin Franklin, we could just fly a kite and have unlimited electricity come down the wire and electrify the key, the famous key. That's not necessarily how you can provide baseload energy to run entire metropolises, cities, industries, keep the lights on, and have all these left-wing liberals enjoy the cushy life that, yes, even they've gotten used to here in the United States of America and other civilized nations. So the Green New Deal, folks, we now know it was a complete and utter hoax. It was meant to be a money-making industry for the left. It was meant to basically convince all of us that we needed to somehow depopulate the earth, that human beings were bad. It's a control mechanism, and they use the horror and the terrors of, oh, look at all these storms. Oh, look at all these lack of storms. Oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's too cold. It's snowing too much. It's not snowing enough. It's raining too much. It's not raining enough. Did you notice how every time there's been a natural disaster, no matter what that natural disaster is, they've moved far away from arguments of global warming. And now it's all just about climate change. Well, I got news for you. I got news for all the lefties out there. The climate has been changing for bazillions of years. All you got to do is look at the fact that we only have about 100 to 150 years of actual meteorological data. I liked the take on this entire subject that we had when we had the geologist on, who was able to tell us that, we had these eons and epochs in world history, in global history, where we had warming periods followed by cooling periods. How in the world was it that when Chris and I were growing up, maybe just right before Joey, we were told incessantly throughout the 70s and the 80s that another ice age was rapidly approaching? How in the world did the, quote, scientists who support the Green New Deal flip that entire narrative on its head in the space of about a decade? And suddenly, no, it wasn't an ice age. It was a period of intense warming. And we're basically going to fry on the sidewalks. Well, you're not going to believe who has come over to our corner on this issue. The famous former Liberal Prime Minister of the UK, arguably one of the most successful leaders since Margaret Thatcher, even though he was on the other side of the political spectrum of her, Sir Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of Britain's Labour Party. Yeah, good guy. Not a bad guy for a more liberal-leaning
Great
dude.
politician.
You're not going to believe. Well, Chris, he's come to his senses too, and we're happy to hear it. In a recent report titled, get this, The Climate Paradox, why we, I don't know who he's talking about here, I guess the royal we, why we need to reset action on climate change. Interesting indeed. In a foreword to the report, Blair says, quote, Voters feel they're being asked to make financial sacrifices and changes in lifestyle when they know that their impact on global emissions is minimal. Tony Blair, one of the leading architects on the planet of the old climate Green New Deal, is suddenly changing his tune and admitting what we've all been trying to explain all along, that even if we were to, in the United States of America, turn off all the lights, shut down all the power plants, eliminate all the coal, the natural gas, and the oil, it would have an infinitesimal reaction on what many claim is global emissions that cause global warming. Blair goes on to say, political leaders, by and large, know the debate has become irrational. I love these terms he's using, but they're terrified of saying so. Well, not everybody, not Donald Trump, for fear of being accused of being climate deniers. Any strategy based on either phasing out fossil fuels in the short term or limiting consumption is a strategy doomed to fail, he added. Now, the authors say no one believes that Blair has entirely abandoned the elitist climate change consensus. Rather, it's likely he's decided to go public with his doubts in order to provide cover for current Labor Prime Minister Keir Starmer to rein in the more extreme elements of this proposal to go to net zero. Nigel Farage, leader of the Reform Party in the UK and a devout conservative, reacted to Blair's report by saying, even Tony Blair now says the push for net zero has become irrational and hysterical. How about that? We are winning the argument. Indeed. And that is the Speaker's stump speech with great news from across the pond today, May the 1st, 2025.
And I also think this is just an instance of former Prime Minister Tony Major just being practical. One, Britain is a major oil producer. They don't want to cut into their future revenues by going green. And you remember when Russia started the war with Ukraine and how they were threatening Europe's natural gas supplies if they supported Ukraine. I think he sees that as well, that Europe can't be dependent on Russia's natural gas, and that we need to keep our natural gas and fossil fuels still going. I think as a former prime minister, he sees that that is in Britain's best interests.
Yeah. And Chris, let's be honest. Fossil fuels have lifted more people out of poverty around the globe than any other fuel source. We all hope that someday, and we're getting there, right? Everything is much more efficient. Everything is much more economical. We're using less fossil fuels overall than ever before because we are expanding our alternative energy sources. But you can't shut off things. You can't shut off power plants overnight and expect humanity to continue to be successful.
Coming up, we're going to speak with Senator Rick Brattin, District 31. Should candy and soft drinks be ineligible for SNAP benefits? We'll talk to him about his bill, Senate Bill 662, on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
I wouldn't sell my bike for all the money in the world, not for $100 billion, million, trillion dollars.
Then you're crazy. I know you are, but what am I?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Any scattered showers and storms, they will continue into the evening, but after sunset, I do expect those rain and storm chances to wane. These storms won't be strong, but bursts of heavy rain at times, a few wind gusts, and isolated small hail is possible. Tonight, our temperatures fall into the upper 70s. Another rain chance on Friday, about a 40% chance of showers, a high of 72 degrees. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Hey everybody, it's your buddy Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show, along with my buddy Joey V. And remember, we're not on just Saturdays at 5, now we're on Sundays at 2.
Putting the fun in our dysfunctional world. It's The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter.
All right. I know you're all laughing at me when I have been discussing the need to properly irrigate and water your lawn this year. You're like, Jones, we've gotten like 12 feet of water in the last 2 months. Okay. Any of you who have lived in the Midwest for more than 5 minutes know that this will not last. This too shall pass. And if you decide to not take my advice and call Hydrodynamics Core and get an irrigation system, you know that by mid to late June or July, when your lawn is nothing more than a giant baked crispy critter and it's completely and utterly brown, you're going to be regretting it. So get a hold of take advantage of how great your lawn looks right now, and let's keep it that way. Get a hold of Hydrodynamics Core today. Hydrodynamicscore.com. Man, do they know what they're doing? Well, of course they do, because they've been in business for over 52 years. Multi-generational, family-owned, independently owned, local business right here in the St. Louis metro region. In fact, they were the first commercial and residential lawn irrigation company in St. Louis. Why would you want to use anybody else? Don't use some out-of-town conglomerate or some company that's owned by some other gigantic multi-billion-dollar operation that's not going to give you the personal service that Hydrodynamics Core is. Hydrodynamicscore.com is where you find them. Right now, you should be activating your system if you already have an irrigation system, and you should be making sure you get your annual backflow testing done. So Hydrodynamics Core can put in a system for you. They can maintain a system for you, and they can even maintain systems for you that they did not install. They'll be happy to give you a full, safety check on that, examine everything, fix it up, lickety split. They do other things as well. They can take care of all your turf. They have a premium turf management program. They do outdoor lighting, service and installation. They have drainage solutions they can help you with, and they can build beautiful hardscaping. What's hardscaping? Okay, well, that's your retaining walls, your patios, your walkways, your edging, and your outdoor fireplace. I've seen their stuff. It's really fantastic. I suggest you get a hold of Hydrodynamics Core today. Hydrodynamicscore.com. Hydrodynamicscore.com. Make sure your lawn is fantastic. Hydrodynamicscore.com.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Hey, if you're 50 or older, you do not want to take any risk with your money. In fact, you want Leslie Consulting. My friend Bob Leslie can show you a gain and retain plan. Means that you never lose. Plus, you get up to a 20% bonus on day one. Leslie Consulting, a leader in brokerage and risk management. 314-721-0066. LeslieConsulting.com.
JC's got a new Saturday night show.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. 3 big hours of great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. Plus bits and pieces that'll take you back to the best years of your past.
The stinking Mets are in town this weekend. We'll revisit the Pond Scum days, plus it's Cinco de Mayo weekend. And our A-list interview is with Kenny Loggins, presented by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on News Talk STL. This hour of Jones and Arps is brought to you by Stifel. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
In a letter to wife Abigail, John Adams wrote of his first National Day of Prayer, millions will be upon their knees at once before their great Creator, imploring his forgiveness and blessing and asking for his favor on the American cause. Beautiful. Today, more than 2.5 centuries later, in the heart of a free and proud America, we rejoice that God answered those prayers. And I think God answered other prayers because he's put in an administration to run this country.
531 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show. And Tim, I think it would be safe to say that we are the only Western democracy that has a day of prayer. Would that be correct, you think?
I don't know. We might be, and I think it's pretty notable that we still carry on that extremely important tradition as part of the fabric of what this country was founded upon.
Exactly. And another gentleman who's on the line with us who believes that as well is Senator Rick Brattin from the 31st District. Senator, welcome back to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Good to be on with you guys.
Excellent. You know, I remember about 13 years ago, there was a big kind of scandal in Missouri government where it was found out that people were using welfare benefits to go to strip clubs and to casinos and all of that. You thought that had been cleaned up. You have Senate Bill 662 that would restrict people from buying candy and soft drinks. That seems like almost a no-brainer. Why is it taking this long for this common sense legislation to be introduced?
Well, because it's common sense. And government doesn't do anything that makes sense, that makes things healthy, and that's what we're trying to do with this bill. It's actually a national movement to where we're trying to make these reforms that don't continue to make us, sicker, fatter, and just drive up healthcare costs to the extreme. We're paying on both ends of this. We're paying for the food that's making people sick and causing all these healthcare costs, and then the taxpayers fitting the bill for the enormous cost on the healthcare that's attributed to the food that we're eating. So we have got to stop this ridiculous cycle that continues to go on and on. And this is just a small step. I mean, we see all the processed foods, the dyes, everything else. I would think that the most sugary, nasty foods that have no health care and nutritional benefit would be the first on the chopping block. And that's what this bill does.
Yeah. And yeah, Rick, and you would think this would be, as you said, pretty simple, straightforward, and commonsensical. And you would think it would be bipartisan as well. And I think it's notable, Rick, that you, as the chairman of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, last year was a very tumultuous year. The Freedom Caucus kind of had to shake everybody awake, right? And there was a lot of shock and awe. But this year, people like you and our good friends, Senator Schroer and Senator Schnelting and so many of the other members of the Senate and the House Freedom Caucus, you guys are leading the way on these common sense bills that are in line largely with what Donald Trump and Republicans are trying to do at the D.C. level. And, Rick, you would think that with RFK Jr., right, he was a Democrat most of his adult life, leading the way on the Make America Healthy Again. You would think that Democrats would support something like this, right, Rick? Because they always talk about wanting to spend taxpayer dollars wisely. And if we're gonna provide people a social safety net, shouldn't government be trying to provide one that's actually beneficial to people, like keeping them healthy when we're giving them the opportunity to go purchase food items on our dime?
Oh, well, you would think that would be the case, but unfortunately it's not. The way they try to frame this is though we're attacking the poor and all these food deserts, that little Jimmy and little Susie are no longer going to be able to get food to fill their tummies. Well, these supermarkets and all that, they know that they're making obscene profits from all these soft drinks. That's what they market. But as soon as we make these changes, that's what they're going to put on the shelves. Whatever that this program will pay for, that's what will be there. So why not put those healthy food items that we know have nutritional benefit to where kids have access to this? It was really telling in our hearing that we had all the beverage companies lined out the door, and it was really eye-opening to hear their testimony that they don't know whether or not these soft drinks are unhealthy or not, and how can we make that determination? I mean, it's really mind-boggling, to be honest with you, that they had the audacity to come and act as though the committee and we, the Senate, were a bunch of idiots, and we don't realize just how unhealthy this stuff is.
Speaking with Senator Rick Brattin. He's the senator, of course, from the 31st District. Senator, I want to give the libertarian argument here for a minute. What would people say that, hey, I'm down on my luck a little bit. I need some help from the government. Hopefully it will be temporary. The government shouldn't be a nanny and telling me what I should put into my body, even if it is unhealthy. What would you say to those who make that argument?
Hey, and we're not telling you what you can put in your body. We're telling you what the taxpayers are going to pay for to put in your body. You know, that's the thing. This is a program that taxpayers are paying for. So if you want to take your hard-earned money that you worked for and go buy all the snack cakes and Little Debbie's and candy and everything that to your heart's content, go for it. It's just the taxpayer that's not going to be paying for it. That to me is the common sense approach to any sort of government program. There are always stipulations. This isn't some bastion of free market, you know, with with the taxpayer's dollar. So I hope that that people see this as, you know, something that is common sense and not a draconian measure. So.
Folks, we're speaking to Senator Rick Brattin. He is the chairman of the Senate's Education Committee. He's also the chairman of the Missouri Freedom Caucus in the Missouri legislature. He's a busy guy indeed. Rick, I wanted to talk about another bill that you led this year and that you've already passed and that the governor has already signed into law, and that's your SB, your Senate Bill 22, that was marshaled by you and the other movement conservatives in the legislature to fix a serious problem, Rick, right, that we've had for years. And it's not the big kahuna of initiative petition reform, but it is an important step towards overall ballot proposition reform, isn't it, Rick? And the problem we had was it seemed that every time there was a, quote, citizen-led, actually, a out-of-state, out-of-country billionaire left-wing liberal-led citizen petition, those, Rick, always seem to sail right through the court system and end up on the ballot with some, bizarre summary that oftentimes not reflect what was in the language. And every time the Missouri legislature, the Republican legislature, would write a ballot initiative, the courts would mangle it and finagle it and bend it all around backwards. Rick, what was Senate Bill 22 designed to correct that you have now successfully passed into law?
So it put a stop to the judiciary from rewriting ballot language. So if somebody challenged what that ballot language from an initiative petition or even whatever joint resolution we put forward before the voter, the Democrats back in the 80s gave the courts the capability to write ballot language. Well, this is a complete and total legislating from the bench authority that was given to them that doesn't belong to them. So this takes that away and puts it back and gives it back to the Secretary of State, who's a constitutional, duly elected election authority. So to me, this was just a common sense measure. If you looked at Amendment 3, for example, what the Secretary of State wrote for the ballot language, for what Amendment 3 really was, it was spot on, but the courts rewrote that, and you would have thought that Planned Parenthood themselves rewrote that ballot language. And that's why we're having to fight that battle today. So this was a huge victory. We also had an amendment on there that would allow the Attorney General to appeal injunctions. And the left has literally, their hair is on fire over the fact that we were able to pass this bill with an emergency clause. So it was a huge victory in terms of especially the pro-life movement, but for initiative petitions from here on out.
Senator Brattin, you have co-sponsored a bill to raise the minimum marriage age to 18. Is this going to get across the finish line with 14 days to go?
I believe it's going to. And as a dad with 5 children and 3 daughters, a few years ago, I was in opposition to this, but seeing the fact that if an underage girl gets married, she can't seek legal counsel, she can't enter into contracts, she can't even check herself into domestic violence shelters, if something goes wrong in this marriage. So I just given the circumstance, given the world we live in today, the last thing on earth I think we need to be doing is allowing our daughters to be trapped in these potential horrible situations. And it's not 1945 anymore. People really aren't getting married at 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. And the way I would phrase it as a dad, if you love my daughter, well, then your little butt can wait to marry my daughter when she gets out of school.
Well stated, Rick, as the father of 2 daughters. I couldn't agree more with you. Hey, Senator, before we let you go, it looks like we've got about 9 legislative days left before the end of the legislative session. Chris and I were talking the other day. Feels like yesterday we were up there in the Capitol Rotunda interviewing everybody on the first day of session. Rick, there's a bunch of important pieces of legislation lined up like train cars in both chambers. What do you think has the best chances of getting across the finish line before the gavels come down on Friday, May 16th?
I really think we've seen a chance to get a lot of really good stuff done. I think Second Amendment Preservation Act is going to get done. I think the fix to the Proposition A, and I think taking it back to the voters on repealing and replacing Amendment 3 to make us ensure we're protecting life in this state. Those are just a few that I think are definitely going to get done. This week we were able to get done gold and silver, something that we've tried for years and years and years. Mike Moon and myself, we actually got that done, and it'll be going to the governor's desk. And I've heard he has no issues with it. So we've had a really successful year and plan to have a banner year. So looking forward to the next few days.
Senator, before we let you go, I want to talk about your Senate Bill 193, term limits for local officials. I'm going to give you the argument that's been said for decades. We already have term limits. It's called elections. What would you say to that?
Yeah, but in these local aspects, these guys get in these positions. It's the good old boy system. They're on April elections. People have no clue who they're voting for, and it's like an 8% turnout. So you have the NEA and all the municocrats coming out, and they're electing their people over and over and over and over again. So if it's good enough for us at the legislature, it's time to get that new blood in there. I also have a bill that's dealing with this as well that makes it to where you have to declare a party instead of going under the radar of anonymity of who you really are, what you represent. At least you can declare that you're some raging leftist liberal that wants to run to be on my kid's school board. So we've got to make these reforms. Nick Schroeder's got one that moves the election from the April to November. Man, I think that would be a huge step forward to getting rid of these leftists that have assumed these nonpartisan positions.
And that is Rick Brattin, Senator for the 31st District. You can reach him at rickbrattin.com and on X, Rick Brattin. Senator, thank you so much for your time and good luck the rest of the legislative session.
Hey, thanks, guys. Good to talk to you.
All right, Tim, 5:44, 1 segment left. We're going to talk about a bill that was recently passed in the House that was inspired by the First Lady, Melania Trump. And we'll have some other news that you need to know on the ride home. You're listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, number 1 for live and local conservative talk in St. Louis.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show.
I see no reason why a responsible bear should not rent no scooter.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. Any scattered showers and storms, they will continue into the evening, but after sunset, I do expect those rain and storm chances to wane. These storms won't be strong, but bursts of heavy rain at times, a few wind gusts, and isolated small hail is possible. Tonight, our temperatures fall into the upper 70s. Another rain chance on Friday, about a 40% chance of showers, a high of 72 degrees. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
The Vic Borselli Show.
The sponsor of Bill SB 662, a bill to reform SNAP system by banning the purchase of sugary drinks and candy. Senator Rick Brattin joins us Thursday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
You know, as a recovering lawyer, you don't want to call me for all your legal needs. I'll be happy to give you plenty of political and public policy prognostications. But if you need legal assistance, I'm going to refer you right over, as I'm doing right now, to our good friends Todd Sivia and all the fine attorneys at the Sivia Law Center. Sivia is S-I-V-I-A, S-I-V as in Victor, S-I-V-I-A, SiviaLaw.com. What do they do at Sivia Law? Everything that you might need them for. Look, we all need to do proper planning in life, right? We never know when life's going to throw us a curveball. So the best thing you can do is be prepared so you don't have to run to Todd Sivia at the last minute and it's suddenly a giant crisis and emergency. Sivia Law will assist you with all types of different varieties of estate planning that they have available for you. They'll find the best product that fits your exact life. It's all about you. It's not some cookie cutter models that they have. Don't be using the online stuff. I know that stuff. I know it sounds convenient. I know it sounds easy and cheap, but you know, I don't know that the probate courts would agree. I'm just saying. I would rather you call Todd Sivia and Sivia Law, SiviaLaw.com. Elder law matters, special needs matters, real estate matters. Yeah, a lot of people getting into I know a lot of people that do real estate as a second or third side hustle. Make sure you got your look, real estate transactions can definitely involve legal issues, especially if you don't do them right. Talk to Todd Sivia if you're looking into getting into the real estate game. They also handle personal injury matters, business matters. We love small businesses. Todd Sivia is a small business owner. He actually works in real estate as well. He uses his legal acumen in that field as well. That's why he knows this stuff so freaking well. And he is a small business owner. So he'll set you up properly, take care of everything throughout the entire lifespan of your business, help you sell the business, hopefully for buku bucks someday so you can all go retire in the Caymans. Go to Todd Sivia for the proper planning and the proper administration of all your legal needs, from estate planning to elder law, real estate, business, personal injury, and so much more. They got awesome online forms at SiviaLaw.com and more. Personalized service, 7 Sivia Law Centers up and down Interstate 70. I promise you there's one near you. Check them out today. Lots of awesome stuff at that website. Really user-friendly, usable website with lots of great stuff. SiviaLaw.com. That's SiviaLaw.com.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Spring has sprung at Daniel's Farming Greenhouses on Joggerman and St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pots of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farming Greenhouses. Visit us today on Joggerman or online at danielsfarminggreenhouses.com.
The Napoli heritage of fine dining continues with Napoli Kirkwood. Napoli Kirkwood, now open. So add that to Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. And don't forget about Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district, Chesterfield Valley. All of those locations, plus now, open Napoli Kirkwood.
Springtime in St. Louis means one thing. That's right. Golf is back, baby. Sugar Creek Golf Course is located in High Ridge, just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. To book your tee time or to learn more about the special event and banquet facilities, simply visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out, our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
It's the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Thousands and thousands of people that are out here in downtown Los Angeles. They're using the annual May Day March to protest against the Trump administration and the policies that they say are damaging to the working class and damaging to their communities. And what we're seeing on the ground today is many people who are here who are advocating for the release of the Venezuelan immigrants who are currently being detained in El Salvador.
5:51 on the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. And Tim, do you remember a couple of days ago when I said that the Democrats haven't had a new idea in 60 years when Hakeem Jeffries and Cory Booker were sitting on the steps of the House protesting the Trump cuts?
Mhm.
Here's another example. That's another example. What is this going to prove to anybody? And as someone said, all you're showing is that you're not working in the middle of the day, that you can protest.
Yeah, Chris, all the ingenuity, all of the forward thinking is definitely on the center right side of the philosophical, political, and public policy spectrum, because that's what you have on the center right side. Everybody from, Elon Musk to Donald Trump to many Republican, conservatarian, libertarian leaders on down. They're the inventors, they're the creators, they're the innovators. They're always thinking of new things. And the way to do that is to get government out of the way. Chris, you're right. These folks on the left, it all comes down to really one thing. When they say they have a new idea, it's really not, right? It's just repackaged.
Yeah.
What they mean is they want the government to do their idea, right? They want the government to either spend more of your taxpayer dollars on some silly project, take away more of your rights, freedoms, and liberties. They want to increase barriers, all in the name of nowadays equity, right? Keeping everybody on an equal level. What they mean is making everybody equally depressed, right? Because if everybody's the same, if everybody's in the same exact gray cubicles, then no one's going to be inspired to do anything if the government's taking care of everything for us.
Exactly. Boy, we covered a lot today. Always big news with Donald Trump as president of the United States. If you missed any of our content or today or any of our shows, that's no problem. You can catch every episode of your favorite News Talk STL programs anytime, anywhere. Just search News Talk STL on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also download every show straight from our website at newstalkstl.com. Stay connected to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show and all your favorites on your schedule. All right, Tim, we talked about Melania Trump. A bill was passed today that was inspired by her. This is the longest name of a bill that I've ever read in my life, but it was called, quote, the tools to address known exploitation by immobilizing technological deepfakes on website and networks. It's known as the Take It Down Act. It was an acronym.
There you go.
It was approved 409-2, and now it heads to President Donald Trump's desk. Tim, once again, it's the tools to address known exploitation by immobilizing technological deepfakes on websites and networks. Take It Down Act.
I like the tagline better, the Take It Down.
That does go. One thing about this presidency, President Trump's presidency, it is unique. We've never seen anything like this in history, but it's also his presidency we haven't seen in a long time. You know that in the first administration, President Trump did not have a dog. And in this administration, too, he does not have a dog. Tim, I'm going to press your presidential trivia and knowledge. Who was the last president to not have a dog while in office? I will give you a hint. It was a 19th century president.
Are you kidding me? The last one before Trump?
Yes.
Is it one of our favorites like Taft or William Henry Harrison? Or one of those guys?
I'm only thing I'm giving you is 19th century. The rest is up to you.
I'll guess William Henry Harrison.
Actually, was Andrew Johnson from 1865 to 1869. He did not have a dog while in office.
I would have guessed the guy with the wheelchair. You wouldn't want to
No.
go over the dog's tail.
Oh, there's a famous story. I'm glad you brought that up. There's a famous story that I know this. President Roosevelt's dog has a little dog. The name was Fala.
Mhm.
And he loved that little dog. And it was a famous story, and it showed what a brilliant politician he was. Apparently, the president made some trip during World War II to some island, and it was reported that the dog Fowler was left behind. And the president made them turn around, go get the dog. The Republicans tried to make a big deal saying, look how much money you're spending just to go back and get this little dog. This is horrible, horrible. And he did like a radio chat on it, Tim, and just totally turned it around on the Republicans, had the public on his side saying, oh, you won't go back and get the poor man's dog? Come on, Republicans. Totally turned it around. But it was a thing in history. I remember that story. The president's dog was Fala, little white dog. I've seen pictures of him before.
It's a master politician right there. Really? Man's best friend.
Yeah, who names their dog Fala anyway? But
I don't know. What does that mean?
I don't have no idea. I don't know. Fala. All right, we had a huge show today and a huge show coming up. Larry Connors USA. Larry's going to talk about the Biden war plan to attack law-abiding citizens, heritage economists on the plus minus of Trump tariffs, and listener lectures Larry about Trump. You don't want to miss that. Larry Connors USA up next, 6 to 8. You have been listening to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Drive safe and have a great evening.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Basement with a Y. That's Basement E.
It's Basement T.
Basement E?
It's Basement T.
Oh, Basement T. Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The all things Basement T experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry out that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.